Hey, I just am in the process of replacing the rear shocks on a Mini Cooper. This particular one is an '02 early version, and just wanted to give you a quick little tutorial on how to do that. It's very straightforward. The top of the shock has two bolts, and they look like this and go straight up in, so they're these are 13 millimeters, and then the bottom of the shock has a large, I believe it's a 22 or 21, something like that, and it goes through the bottom of the shock here, and these two hold the top of the shock plate up into the body. After you remove those bolts, you gotta pull the brake line and sensor grommets out of these slots. Probably better to do that first and then remove the bolts, and the whole shock drops down, and the bottom of the shock goes forward towards the front of the vehicle, and the whole thing comes out. Very straightforward to get the rear shock out. You don't have to go into the rear of the car inside like a lot of cars. We have to go in the trunk and remove that top bolt. So you do that, get the shock out of the car. The shock has the coil spring with it. The coil spring is not in a lot of compression, so that when you undo this nut, it'll pop a little bit, but it's relatively safe. I found that it was nice to have spring compressors to put it back together, because trying to get that first thread on the nut was difficult. If you have two people, one person can kind of put their weight on it and compress the spring, and that helps. You can get that first thread started and then wrench it down. To get that nut off and put it on, you need a 5mm Allen, and the nut that came off the original was a 16mm, and then with the new Bilstein they switched it up. I think it's a 17mm, putting it back together. So you wrench this guy off, be careful with the coil spring, it'll pop a little bit, and then it's pretty straightforward to just replace all the pieces. Put your new bushings in, and like I say, it goes together pretty well, and then just reassemble. I found I like to try and get things back together the way they came apart, so before I started anything, I just put a little Sharpie mark here just to make sure everything lines up. There's no alignment at the bottom of the shock here, but just want to make sure that I had everything in the proper position. You may have to rotate this flange around to get the rear of the shock to line up properly, but very straightforward job, very easy. Thanks.